The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, DOHENY.com, to learn more. Broker Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, and Herrick. It's just confusing as hell.
It started back in the 70s, actually. It wasn't a big thing. I think Jimmy Carter was the first one.
Oh, really?
The caucus. Well, years ago, they did this thing called the smoke-filled room, where they actually, guys sat around, let's make FDR our nominee. Yeah, FDR, he's our guy. Or Eisenhower, let's make Eisenhower our nominee. Yeah, he's our guy. I don't know. Maybe the country.
That's how they did it in Chicago.
Maybe the country was better off than what we got now. I don't know.
It's that hotel in Chicago. That's where all the dealings were.
Yeah, most of the conventions were in Chicago. And then 68.
No, but that specific hotel, it's famous.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's right on Michigan Avenue or
Still there? The Congress Hotel or the Hilton? No, not the Hilton. Palmer House. No.
No. Maybe Palmer House is in that hotel. What hotel is
Palmer
it?
House is on State Street, though. But I know what you're talking about. If it's still there.
Maybe Severino knows.
I've been in it, too. And it's changed its name, the Hilton. It was the Conrad Hilton back then. Now it's called the Chicago Hilton and Towers. And Kitty O'Shea's is in there.
You're making me go to this early in the show.
Where's Joe?
He's connecting. He's getting his notes together.
He's
right, Joe?
Yeah, but the caucuses, I don't know. I'm not sure it's the.
I want to say that.
With all due respect to all my friends and relatives, and I do have relatives because my mom was there, but I'm not sure it is the best way to do it. And Iowa. I was not a swing state anymore, so I'm not sure it's the best way to pick a nominee to win swing states in the fall. But
I'm going to say it's the Blackstone.
Could be. You do that Chicago history podcast. Maybe some of your some of your viewers on that podcast will know. Because there was a rich history of political conventions from both parties coming to Chicago that came to a screeching halt after the 68 debacle with the riots and all that. And then they came back, the Democrats came back in 96
Well,
and are
trains,
coming back this year, 2024.
that was the method of transportation back in the day.
Yeah, because of the rails.
Yeah.
The Republican convention is not far away either. It's in Milwaukee.
Here, Joe, I'm going to ask you to unmute. And I'm going to say start your video so we can see all your suntan. So Nikki Haley, is that good? Is she second or
We'll
third?
see. We'll see. Depends on who you talk to.
I'm talking to you, Mr. Delegate.
Talk to me after New Hampshire and South Carolina.
I'm talking to you now. We just had Iowa.
I don't know. My answer now is I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, I'll support whoever our nominee is, but I think she would be our best choice in the general election.
Joe Severino.
Hello, gentlemen.
Morning.
Use that term loosely.
Up until now, gentlemen.
Joe Severino ran for Congress. Was it one time or two? This will be the second?
This is the second time, Pete.
Second time, okay.
Didn't you file as a write-in in 2020?
No. I was thinking about getting on the ballot as an independent. Didn't have the signatures. It was during COVID, so I didn't have the opportunity to collect the signatures to get on the ballot.
Because I thought I saw something on the FBC website for you for 2020, but that's fine.
I was at the BLM riots collecting signatures to help the community. That shows where my heart is.
The pride of Cicero, Illinois, Joe Severino.
Oh, yeah, that's bad. I don't know if I'm the pride, but I'm definitely from there.
So, Joe, we've been talking a lot of
some of these politicos have.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot of smack. You've been talking a lot of smack, and here we are sitting at the bar, face to face, smack talking. A little bit too far out of your reach for your right hook. But we've been talking about Congressman Schneider. I've been kind of getting on his case for a little bit. They've gotten back to us. He may come on the show. We'll see. But, we're trying to figure out, this 10th district. And you've been trying to, I don't want to say weasel your way in there, but you've done some interesting things, starting as a Republican, then you switched to a Democrat. Now you're an independent. You got to get some signatures. Joe, give us just the last 2 or 3 years of your political life here, and let's see if we can help or hurt you on this show.
Well, first, I wouldn't say weasel my way. I would say exude my authority over the inept. That's number one.
Yeah.
I don't like the rhino establishment that's existed for a century in Illinois. I think they're harmful to the people and the constituency. And I'm pivoting as a new politician and somebody that wants to serve to find the greatest capacity in which I could have the biggest impact. And that's why I've pivoted a little. I've always been an independent individual. I do not follow. I'm not subservient to anyone but God. So when these, failing politicians want you to follow like a duckling into their continued failures, of course, there's going to create some animosity when somebody pushes back. And that's what I'm fighting right now. And that's why I filed. What I did was, I was immediately going to run again. When I first decided to run, they said, Joe, you don't have any name recognition. Go run for a county position. Ran a business for 25 years, came from Cicero to create an immense amount of wealth, gave the entire time that I went along. So when they said to find a job that I believe I might even be overqualified for, it was very odd to me that when I decided to run again, they said, oh, wait, we have somebody else. Now they want to focus on Karras because he could raise money, et cetera. I said, you know what? You could fiddle around with this guy all you want. I'll go to where the real fight is in Brad Schneider's primary, where I can actually make an impact and get my hands on somebody and show the community why we're really struggling. And then after being there, wrapped up with them for so long, which was awesome. They were trying to throw me out of their meetings. It was just a fantastic opportunity. But the great benefit, Pete, was that, and Joe, is that I got to meet a lot of Democrats that feel the same way a lot of Republicans feel. And although it's a harder course to run as an independent in Illinois, I have the support, but I'll just have to put some more skin in the game and devote more resources and opportunities, and I will get on the ballot. It will absolutely disrupt the Republican candidate. He won't stand a chance on earth. However, it will give me the biggest gleaming light against Schneider and I. And now I'm getting national recognition. I have some national support. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm bringing the truth. We have, we need truth tellers here, not the swamp dwellers. I don't know if you saw that Cat Williams podcast.
No.
Japanese.
Meow.
Oh, fantastic.
I have no idea. What happened?
Cat Williams, he outed everybody in Hollywood. I mean, it was just fantastic. That's what I intend on doing here in Illinois. And I've been doing it since day one. They were sending me love messages, these men, how handsome I am, what a great speaker and everything. Just join it. No, I'm not. If it doesn't benefit the people, I'm not doing it.
Joe Weiss, your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm going to start out because I know there's been a little confusion about some of the things I've said, but let me be very clear. So I'm a lifelong Republican. I guess that makes me part of the establishment. To me,
and to be honest with you, Joe, if I may preface this, I never heard anything you said. This is the first interaction I'm having with you.
I've said it on this show, but I'm a lifelong Republican. I guess if that makes me part of the establishment, so be it. To me, the establishment is Republicans who've actually won general elections.
Which ones?
We used to win a lot of them here.
Okay, and you haven't since Mark Kirk. So let me ask you this, Joe. How do you feel about Mark Kirk?
I think Mark Kirk was a great guy.
He's a Chinese lobbyist that is so far up. Yes, he is. He's a registered lobbyist for China right now.
But Mark Kirk won elections.
So
here.
If your idea of being a Republican is a Chinese, if your idea of being a good Republican is backing Chinese lobbyists and selling America through this Collier's fund that Karras has something to do with, if that's your idea of being a Republican, that's exactly why I'm running as an independent. You're wearing that as a badge. I don't hold my religion as a political party as a faith.
I don't either. I'm a Christian, and I'm not gonna.
But you didn't give a dialogue. You didn't give a biography. What you said is, I'm a lifelong. Like that's some kind of a badge.
All right. So
wait, hold on. Are we sure about this Chinese thing?
Positive. He's registered Chinese lobbyist.
All right.
Here's my point
about B&G Consulting. Pardon me. Let me finish. He works for B&G Consulting. He works for B&G Consulting, the same consulting firm that like Henry Kissinger and the rest of the swamp rats have worked for.
I really don't care what Mark Kirk does after he's left office.
What about Bob Dole?
He's had a very debilitative stroke, so I'm just glad he's still alive. But that said, when Mark Kirk won every election in the district you're trying to win, okay, even when he lost, let me finish. I let you finish.
Sure.
Even when he lost to Tammy Duckworth in 2016, he still won here. Okay. So, and Bob Dole, who you've also ripped on, and maybe you're going to rip on him now, Bob Dole also won here. Okay.
What has Bob Dole done? I don't care if he won. He lost too. He's a two-time loser. He lost twice.
But he's won. How many did he won?
With $10 million, Joe. He lost with $10 million.
Right. Because
I got 38% of the vote with
what happened?
And only spent 20.
You know what happened here? I'll tell you what happened here.
Tell me.
Two things happened here. we used to have there was a time we had a Republican U.S. Senator, a Republican governor, a majority of the Republican congressional delegation from Illinois were Republicans, including the 10th district. The Republicans controlled the Lake County Board and virtually all of Lake County government. All of that's gone. And I can trace that back to two things. Two things. One is the emergence of
Bob.
No. Well, let me talk and then you give your take on it.
Sure.
I can trace that back to the emergence of Donald Trump and the move of the party to the right on social issues. Those two things, right or wrong, and again, I said, I voted for Donald Trump when he was the Republican nominee, and if he's a Republican nominee, I'll vote for him again. Right? But it's not my vote that matters. It's the swing voters. Voters
Which I will get. I'll tap into them.
Well, those voters, Joe, those voters in this area, those swing voters, have demonstrated time and time again that they're fiscal conservatives. They're not social conservatives. And here's my proof. 2020, the most recent presidential election, Donald Trump lost big time here. But on the same day, same ballot, same voters, a referendum that J.B. Pritzker kicked in $50 million for to raise the state income tax, lost by over 10 points statewide and lost even bigger here on the North Shore.
Because people care more about their pocketbook than they do social issues.
Correct.
Social issues are not on the table. Republicans are running on a platform that we have to fight to prove how liberal and loving we are of LGBTQ, et cetera, rather than show that we're humans first and we're going to fight for everyone. Once you start categorizing people, Joe, and that's the problem. You keep calling them the voter, the voter, the voter. I call them the people. When you start treating people, the constituents like people instead of voters or transactional, maybe you can build some empathy and start tapping into them. And I'm not saying you, I don't know anything about if you've ever run for anything. I see you with the flag and all that. That's great.
I have.
Okay.
I won 3 elections.
Great.
In a Democratic leaning area.
After 2012, have you won anything?
No. But I've worked on winning campaigns after.
Before
I've worked on 6 winning campaigns. I've worked on 6 winning campaigns, Joe. But this isn't about me, Joe. This is about you as a candidate and who the best candidate should be to beat Brad Schneider. Because I want to beat Brad Schneider. I
agree with you 100%.
Okay.
And here's why we can't. Here's why we haven't thus far. And that's because when you said there's a Republican Party since X amount of years, whatever it is, really here's the point you may be missing, naively or intentionally. There's been a uniparty here for over 50 years. There is no Republican Party here. There's a uniparty, a pay for play, period. And we don't have strong enough candidates.
There was a difference between Bob Dole and Brad Schneider. There was a difference on taxes. There was a difference on spending. And there was a difference on the Iran deal, the horrible Iran deal that funded Hamas. Now, Brad Schneider is the
people you're speaking of, Joe.
Fellow Democrat. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Compared to most of his fellow Democrats, Brad Schneider is better on Israel than AOC and
has to be because of the district.
And Brad Schneider actually lived in Israel for a time. But where Brad Schneider was wrong, okay, and I think is his political Achilles heel here is, and look, Bob Dole's not running again, but Bob Dole was against the Iran deal, and Brad Schneider supported the Iran deal, which essentially paved the way for Iran getting the money that then went to Hamas, right? I think you agree the Iran deal was a bad deal, so we don't need to
press release out about it. Yeah.
Okay. So
here's the other thing.
So I disagree with you when you say that there's a uniparty and all this stuff and it's different.
Then you just don't understand it. You don't understand politics. You don't know your craft.
I understand politics pretty well, Joe.
Okay, so does Mark Kirk work with Brad Schneider right now, Joe?
I have no idea, and I don't care.
Okay. Well, you should.
You're not running against Mark Kirk, but Mark Kirk knew how to win elections.
He's the snake in Illinois. He's the head of the snake. Before I used to think Washington, before I used to think Washington, excuse me, before I used to think Washington, the voice of Washington, dribbled down to Illinois. I didn't realize Illinois was setting the precedent for what that voice would be in Washington. Bob Dole, Mark Kirk, Richard Porter, all these people, and I outed all of them. All these people are working for their own benefit. It's slimy and it's antithetical to the progress and the thriving of our district, period. So they get these weak candidates that can't win. And all they do is insulate the incumbency of these Democrats by posturing up and not supporting good candidates. That's what they do. As a matter of fact, Kirkland Ellis, Richard Porter's law firm, okay? And I
asked Richard Porter.
What's that?
You're not running against Richard Porter.
Well, he's the head of the NRCC in Illinois.
He's the Republican National Committeeman.
Yeah. So in essence, I am running against him.
And he's not running.
He's the guy representing Harris. See, that's what I mean. You have to know your craft, Joe. He's the coach of Harris, correct?
I don't know his relationship with.
Okay, well, I do. So here's what's happening. Go to his disclosures. You see, he even donated.
He used to support you.
No, he never supported me.
That's not true. He did. But I think he realized that you weren't the best choice for us.
No, what he realized was Joe's not going to play ball, because when they asked me to vote for to endorse Irvin and I said no, then he totally ignored me. When I had all the dirt on Schneider and I sent it to the chief counsel of the NRCC in Washington, and the guy, Justin, I don't remember what his name is, he's from Illinois originally, said, "My gosh, Joe, how come I've never heard of this before?" So excited about outing it. And then what happened? I get a text message back saying, "Joe, you know what? We don't want to step on your local chair's toes."
Right. There's a lot to unpack in that last. Let me ask you this though. On the, I think there is a difference on fiscal issues between those between.
You have to talk about.
You call,
if I may, please give me 1 second. I trust me, I respect you being here and my time here. So thanks. But I'm just so heated up about these, pseudo politicos that are looking to be profiteers rather than support the community. So the reality is this, and I could go into Sean Morrison and Demetri DeMonte, every single one of these leaders that are now. I am a leader. I've led many organizations. I've navigated through very difficult times of my life, and I've been around some very successful people that came from the earth. So the reality is, when you see people that are just trying to profit off those that are struggling at this time, it's irritating to me. I've been bullied in my life. I know what it's like to be one of those people. Give you an example, Highland Park shooting. Highland Park, there were maybe 9 people that were shot there. I don't know how many were affected. They were creating safe zones because people heard, gunshots, and everybody, the community was supporting them, everything. What happened? North Chicago, Waukegan, 9 kids were killed over that weekend. Not a peep about it for anybody. Where was the help for those people, Joe? So people, they're not tapping into the community of people that really help. Republicans do something very well, just like the Democrats in unison. They hover over issues rather than the players. I'm choosing to go after the players. I have a group.
But most voters care about the issues, Joe.
No, they care.
No one cares who Richard Porter is, but like 12 people. All right.
Okay, so does he runs? Okay, who brought McCarthy to the gay?
Did you even know who Richard Porter was?
Who brought McCarthy? Who brought McCarthy? Who brought McCarthy to the Lake County Gay Law?
Who cares?
Who backed? Who gives the green light? As to what excuse me, Joe, who gives the green light to what congressional candidates should be backed in Illinois? Richard Porter. So when you say that's what snakes do, they hide, Joe. And if they hide from you too, and you're not aware, I can understand that. But don't defend them.
Hiding from me, Joe.
Hey, boys, may I?
All these people just want to win elections, Joe, and they don't see you as the guy.
They want to make money. They want to make money.
Take the tinfoil hat off. And
okay, so here we go. There's your social conservative, your social.
No, it's not. No, but you've got
okay, just like when I called Keith Brin out, then I was,
Joe. All these people I voted for you. I voted for you when you were the nominee, and I would have voted for you again if you were the Republican nominee.
Thank you.
But again, it's not my vote that matters.
Hey, going to
I
the
just want
tinfoil hat
I
is
want to beat
disingenuous.
Brad Schneider, and I don't think you're the guy to do it for ideological.
I made the great. Who is? Brad Davey, the pro-abortion senatorial candidate, with all the liberal and Rhino help, I did better than him in his own district. So what do you mean I'm not? I did better than anybody has since Bob Dole, and he had $10 million. How am I not the right guy?
So your view on abortion is it should be banned, correct?
No. So you voted for me without knowing that? I never said that in my life.
I want the vote. I voted for you, and I think I know your view, but I want the listeners here to know, since you're a candidate for Congress, if you're elected to Congress, how will you vote if there is a bill? They're talk about a nationwide bill.
I would never ban abortion. I would never vote to ban abortion.
So why are you calling people pro-abortionists or whatever you just said?
Because when you kiss ass to run around and show how great you assimilate with the community because you share their values on abortion, rather than leading with an issue or being genuine and showing empathy of who you are, that's an issue.
So you're pro-choice?
No, I'm not. Not personally. Let me tell you something. Personally, I am a pro-life individual. So that's a Marxist separatist.
Fair enough. Personally, I'm not a fan of abortion either, but I don't think government should be involved in it. But again,
I also have 5 children. I have 5 children. I'm an adoptive father. I ran Children's Foundation, which I completely founded and funded. I have a heart for children. So at the end of the day, and I love life at every level, but it is not for me as a legislator. You are, as a legislator, Joe, you're supposed to, and this is why you should be dancing that I'm still running. The reason why what a legislator should do, and I don't say that to be humorous, I mean that. But soft shoe. So the reality is I'm willing to take the community voice and bring it to Washington. Brad Schneider is taking the Washington voice and bringing it home. So if the district states, hey, listen, we're a 13 to 18 week district or whatever that is, that's what I'm going to bring to Washington. I'm not going to say, hey, listen, I have 2 years here to prove who I am. And I'm going to interject my own personal view into what the community wants to appease Joe. I wouldn't do that. And that's where we're failing as a community. And that's why politics are failing.
But do you understand when I hear your rhetoric, and forget me, because it's not my vote that matters. But I think when the data is there, that the majority of voters in the 10th congressional district don't want the government banning abortion. Okay?
I agree.
Right? So, but when you call somebody an abortionist, when you say pro-life, you use the word pro-life a lot. I've seen some of your shows, and you've had guests on there that, like Darren Bailey and Gene Ives, who are good people, but have made it very clear that they're pro-life on the abortion issue. So the perception then, let me finish, and then you can answer it.
Go ahead.
The perception amongst the swing voters that you need to win an election here on the North Shore is that guy Severino. He wants to ban abortion, because why is he saying pro-life, pro-life, pro-life? So whereas the candidates, Brad Schneider and, like I said, Dole and Kirk made it very clear they support a woman's right to choose whether to have an abortion. What's that?
To choose what?
To choose whether or not they have an abortion. They don't want the government getting involved in it. But it sounds like you have the same view. Is that correct?
What I'm saying is,
so there's no difference on you in this issue.
I'm a libertarian when it comes to this.
Okay.
Just like the vaccine, just like abortion, the government should not be telling the public what to do with their bodies. We have autonomy, and it should be able to be exercised at every moment of life.
All right. Pro-choice, check.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
So, no, I didn't say pro-choice. What I'm saying is, me as an individual, I've run I ran a company for 25 years, Joe. Never once did I have in a boardroom or casual conversation have a discussion with any of my employees regarding abortion or religion. What I do personally does not mean I'm Greek Orthodox. Do you think I'm going to be bopping people in the district with a Bible saying, hey, while I'm in office, you need to be a Greek or Orthodox? It's a ridiculous argument. It's meant to sway people away from who the candidate is and what they'll do. And when they have so much profiteering that they're protecting, it becomes abundant as to why they do that. They didn't want to focus. I have text messages from Richard Porter talking about what a great speaker, how great an image, all this other stuff, until the Irvin thing. I had local people that loved me until I said no about Irvin.
So you thought Darren Bailey was going to be a better nominee for the party?
He obviously was. Richard Bailey was the voice of the people. That's why he won tremendously. Is that not correct?
He won the primary, but he got clobbered in the general election.
Okay, and if Irvin would have won the primary, he would have got clobbered in the general election.
I don't know if he would have won the general election because it's a bad year for the GOP. Can I finish and then you can respond?
Go ahead.
I don't know if Irvin would have won the general election because number one, 2022 turned out to be.
Oh, because he's a black guy.
No. You brought that up.
Identity politics. It's such
that's nonsense. No. I think Irvin had.
Why would he have won then? Why would he have won? His support of BLM? Would that have brought him over the top?
I think he would have done better in a general election than Darren Bailey. Would he have won? I don't think so, given that the national push against the GOP after the Dobbs Supreme Court decision, as well as the Trump factor here. But also, and if I may finish, I was disturbed. Look, Darren Bailey is a school board member. You talk about being a fiscal conservative. Darren Bailey, when he was on the school board, voted to raise property taxes 86%. But Richard Irvin, as mayor of Aurora, cut property taxes. That said, I was disturbed when I saw some of the personal things that came out about Mayor Irvin. The incident with his girlfriend at the cannabis dispensary, though I think he was just trying to get her out of there so that to de-escalate the situation. It was a bad look for the party. It was a bad look for him. Okay. That said, I still think at the end of the day, if none of those personal issues would have come out, it would have been tough beating J.B. Pritzker and all that money, but I think he would have done better than Darren Bailey, who really, unfortunately, and I like Darren Bailey personally. I've met him several times. Nice guy. I voted for him. But again, it's not my vote that matters. And he may win that congressional seat down in Southern Illinois, but he does not connect with voters here in Northern Illinois, at least the majority, the swing voters. I don't have any issues with
I get it. But I get my own issue with Bailey right
now. That reference to talking about abortion and the Holocaust, stupid comment. And I don't think Darren Bailey's anti-Semitic or a Nazi. I do not. Okay.
You think I am, Joe? You voted for me. Do you think I'm a Nazi?
I do not. No, I do not think you're a Nazi.
Okay. So, but Keith Brin went around telling people that I don't like Jewish people because I called him out.
I'm not here. Look, you're not running against Keith Brin, but you're talking about, again, looking at selecting nominees to win general elections, both on the North Shore, which is essentially the 10th district, and statewide in Illinois. I think we need more moderate candidates on social issues and conservative on fiscal issues. And I agree, some of the past Republicans that did win here did make some mistakes in raising taxes. I agree with that. George Ryan made a terrible mistake raising taxes. Okay.
Yeah, my property tax right now, my property tax went up 126%.
That's terrible. Well, some of that was the
26%. I think it's because I ran for Congress. They think they could, you
got reassessed wrong.
What's that?
You think you got reassessed wrong because you ran for Congress?
I do.
Your property was targeted?
126%.
I'm not a property tax lawyer, so I can't speak to that. But
hey, you guys want to take a breather for a sec?
Look, my point here is I don't have anything against.
This is why Republicans.
Oh my God! If I was next to
I don't have anything against you either.
But I think if you're looking at who the face of the party should be to win elections in this area, we gave it a shot with you, and it didn't work out. We're going to give it a
You
shot.
never gave it a shot with me. That's an
Oh,
absolute
come on.
lie.
You had
Absolutely
every
not.
chance.
Listen to me. I didn't get one ounce of support from any GOP leadership. It's
Because
the
they didn't see,
people.
because once you were on the ballot and they got the.
Oh,
they
so
helped-
they're working antithetical to the will of the people. So if the people
This is
thought
how
I was
this
the
works. Let me
nominee,
tell you.
let me say this. Let me say this. If the people thought I was the nominee and created an atmosphere for me to be so, what right would the GOP leadership have to thwart that will and say we're not going to help him? Because why do the people love me but the politicos hate me?
If they saw any day, look, resources are limited for both parties, okay? So the DCCC and the NRCC both pick and choose which races they target, all right? The DCCC is not going to waste their time targeting Mike Bost or Mary Miller or Darren LaHood in their district. And likewise, the NRCC is going to look at each congressional district. They're not going to waste their time targeting Jan Schakowsky, as much as they'd love to be.
I didn't ask that, but I didn't ask that.
As much as they would love to be,
again.
look, everyone
talking about go back to the people. Here's the thing. Here's what you're doing, and with a lot of these failed consultants do. They sit around and they armchair quarterback what happened in the past, rather than figuring out what went wrong and how we go forward. So when you talk about this, oh, we could have done this, we could have done that, we could have done this. The reality is what you didn't do is call out the interlopers of our party or of the Republican Party that have made good candidates look bad. What about Dan Rogers calling people retard in front of the entire community? What about that?
People you're not running against, all right?
Wait, they're making the whole party look.
These are private citizens.
What about Rob Metz, who's a hard voting Democrat that is holding Trump rallies and running a militia? These people are almost, to me,
he's
they
not
look
running
like
for Congress. If he was, that would be a fair issue to bring up.
Yeah, but he makes our entire 10th district look like the Republicans are baboon, Neanderthals, and then people get turned off by him. And when you talk about pro-life or pro-choice, I had one of the most, a woman that runs a pro-choice organization in Northbrook call me up and say, someone sent me what you said on Dan Proft, and I want to help support you. And she's a pro-choice individual. I melded and reached everyone. Race, color, creed, didn't matter what their politics were. They found me to be genuine and exhibit some empathy and authentic, and they thought that they would give me a chance. And the more that snowballed and the greater the voice got for Joe Severino, the more these political elites decided, let's quiet it down and ignore them. I have every text message to prove everything I'm saying. We had a chance. And here's the thing. Even if they would have helped a little bit more, Joe, look at it this way. Even if they helped a little bit more, let's say I got maybe 4 or 5 more percent. It would have made we should have all championed together, win or lose. There's incremental wins. So if I would have gotten 42%, people would have said, you know what? The next person that runs, let's get behind it. Maybe we could make a little bit more of a
no, you got
more yardage here.
You got the same percentage of the vote, approximately the same percentage of the vote as Prue Beidler did in the mayoral election, and she lost pretty handily.
Prue Beidler didn't run in Gurnee.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying, look, I just think, and
right there is where you're wrong. You're trying to diminish what I've done instead of give me a pro. What did you like about what I've done?
You're pretty good looking.
Well, that didn't translate into many votes.
You got a good.
It certainly did. Let me ask you this: why did my vote stop?
I'm going to judge whether a guy looks good or not. I'm not going there.
Well, you already had
soccer moms.
Let me ask you this:
he didn't get how many soccer moms did he get? Not many.
Excuse me. Why did my race stop for over an hour? Why did they replace my flash drive? Did you have any concern about that?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
When they were calculating and tabulating races, my race stopped for exactly 1 hour. When I called Robin O'Connor, and I have the text messages to prove it, she came back and said, oh, Joe, your flash drive went down. We had to replace it. And it was replaced. It just magically had 99% of mail-in votes going to Brad Schneider. We have a forensic calculation of every vote, same day, late, mail-in, et cetera, that's come in. And to show that, the results don't really marry up to the reality. So
I just pulled up the election results.
Okay.
You lost to Brad Schneider by approximately 60,000 votes
Okay.
out of 242,000.
Answer the question. I don't care if I lost by 200,000 votes. The reality is, why
You
did
think
my
they
race
stole
stop counting?
60,000 votes and you actually won?
No. Where was the Republican Party when my race stopped? Who filed a
Worried
lawsuit
about
to find
closer
out?
elections than yours.
Excuse me. Whose?
Not yours.
Whose? I was the most prolific candidate with the least amount of money that's run in this 10th district, period.
You think you can beat Brad Schneider with
If I would have had the
small
support of the
amount of money on the North
Republican
Shore?
Party, Joe, if I would have had the support of the Republican Party, it would have been close, if not a win. We had a poll stating that I could have beat him by 7 points if people knew who I was. They didn't help me to get my message out.
Joe, with all due respect, and this isn't personal against you, if the Republican Party had given you $10 million, you still would have lost to Brad
That's a
Schneider.
lie. That's
All right.
My
I'd have
I'm
crushed
not
him.
lying. I'm just giving you my judgment.
Okay, so why, if that was the case, Joe, why wouldn't he debate me? The guy was scared to death of me. He stumbles. He fell down at a parade when I was in presence. The guy's so afraid of me. It's crazy. We had an opportunity to do something here and they failed.
Why isn't Donald Trump?
They had an opportunity when that Dobbs decision came down, Joe. When that Dobbs decision came down, the National Party should have came out and said, listen, we understand people are hurt and scorned right now. We don't want to divide anymore. We're going to take abortion, or our pledge is to take abortion off the table for at least the next 5 years, not even discuss it in Congress. And so people weren't afraid to vote. They didn't do that. They're failures, Joe.
Well, so you agree that Republicans in other states like Texas and Indiana that have enacted very harsh abortion bans were wrong?
Yes, I do.
Okay, fair enough. Good. That's because I think that really hurt the Republican Party. So I'm glad
I agree.
You agree with me on that issue. I think, look, the reason Brad Schneider, I can't speak for Brad Schneider, and hopefully we'll get him on the show, but my speculation, the reason he chose not to debate you was the same reason Donald Trump chose not to debate in the Republican primary the last few months, which I think you said online was a brilliant strategy by him. I think somebody
listen. The reason he didn't debate me was because when I was at the Jewish coalition on the North Shore, telling people that they shouldn't ban ARs in Texas, but I would stand behind a Highland Park if they did. And his Jewish constituents were hugging me on the way out and taking my lawn signs, and him, Anthony Vega, and others were Bob Morgan were standing in the corner by themselves. That was an indicator that this was going to be too much for him. He wouldn't debate me in front of the NAACP and the League of Women Voters. He's an individual that says he's going to go to Washington and fight for minorities and women, and he wouldn't even sit at a table with me to have a discussion or a debate. It's pathetic, and that's what's wrong with politics.
But you think Donald Trump should have debated his opponents?
No, he had no reason to. He had no reason.
It's bad for Brad Schneider not to debate.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Donald Trump's position is a lot different than the position between Brad and I. Donald Trump has a following. People know who he is. They know where he stands. He doesn't have to waste his time being redundant. For me, a new candidate, the party should have been behind me, help promote me. I called Bob Dole. He never even called me back. His wife works as a big shot with the IRS. And then we have these people trying to get 187,000 more IRS agents. These are the people that are wrong for Illinois. They're the people that are wrong for our district. So if I do anything, if I can upset the political environment in Illinois, and lose a race, well, I'll consider that philanthropy. If I win, I'm going to go to Washington and do what I said I'm going to do, and I'll change the atmosphere of politics here in Illinois. I'm blocked. Tom DeVore, after I called him out for being a lapdog of the political establishment here, Tom DeVore, T.J. Brown, Dan Rogers, all these nincompoops have me blocked.
You keep bringing up these people that most people do not know nor care.
Then the Republican Party didn't get their name out?
These are people.
Joe,
ran for Attorney General.
If people don't know who they are, then the Republican Party did a bad job.
No, well, if DeVore was a bad candidate, I supported Steve Kim in the primary. So,
Rhino candidate. As a matter of fact, that's a Rhino
Not a
candidate.
Rhino. Come on, Steve Kim's been a Republican his whole life.
Look at what's put out, but I am in business with the.
This is why you wonder why the Republican establishment that you crave to hate doesn't.
I don't hate them. I just find them inept.
Because you pick a guy like Steve Kim, who has been a tireless volunteer for the GOP, and you name some other people that are.
Oh my gosh!
And
that's all you have to do is carry their water, and you get.
And then you expect them to support you? Come on.
I cut the line wherever I go. I don't stand in line for the inept. That's the problem. Steve Kim was a Rhino candidate.
How?
Oh, just like Mary Cole. Look at this Mary Cole.
Oh, see, there you go.
They have.
You know, all you're doing right now when you attack Mary Cole is help
Eric lifelong Democrat. How do you feel about Mary Cole? She's voted for Hillary and Joe Biden.
She's running for state's attorney. She's not running for Congress. She's running for state's attorney.
She affects where I live.
Do you think she's going to let all these
Joe, if I may, she voted. Here's my take on Mary Cole. Okay. So, and I'd like to thank her for correcting. She went to her legal website, Brady and Cole or whatever it is, and redacted and removed all the information I accused her of defending pedophiles and everything. And we have the screenshots of the edit she made. So if I'm not making any sense, then why is she changing her business website to mirror, what I've said? The reality is this. Mary Cole was a voting Democrat. She voted. They tried to pass her off. Philippe Malin, and I spoke to him personally, tried to pass her off as a non-political. So she's actually a board member and sits on she's a trustee of Lake Bluff. On Lake Bluff, one of the points that she wants to affect in our district is that, or in Lake County, is to bring more middle income homes, or open up the door for some poverty stricken individuals to be able to live in the community, number one. And number two, she voted against Dick Uihlein, one of the GOP's most prolific donors, from using gas-powered leaf blowers.
She was not a trustee yet when the leaf blower thing came up. I've asked her about that.
She voted on it. It was
even if she did, Joe, fair.
Let me finish.
Let me finish.
Wait. We can't do this. Hang on. So so she's a voting Democrat. She says, okay, I'm running. The difference about me is I've been aggrieved or bullied or whatever in her life. She suffered through something, and therefore, she's going to do things different than Reinhardt. The reality is she's hanging around with bullies. What about Robert Metz? Call me gay, homosexual, putting photos up and trying to embarrass me in front of the community and my family. What about Dan Rogers? Call me a retard. These are the people she assimilates with, and I'm going to be putting out a press release demanding she separate herself or step down.
Right. Those are the whole public policy. I could care less who she hangs out with.
Well, you should, because people are turned off by it.
Let me around. My point is, all these public policy things, if she was running for a legislative position like Congress or state rep, fair questions. She's not running for that. She's running for state's attorney. Okay.
She's running for the top of Lake County.
There's a reason every police union is endorsing her, Joe. And that's because if she's elected state's attorney, because she was an assistant state's attorney who put away bad guys when she was in that job.
Oh my gosh. Brad Schneider got crooks out of jail while she was around.
Oh, come on.
That's absolutely. Brad Schneider had a murderer released.
Seriously?
Let me say this.
Under Mike Mearheim,
are you saying she's going to break? Are you saying she's going to break the law? She's going to break the law and treat criminals differently than the law is written?
I'm saying she will.
So she can't do anything different than Reinhardt. Period.
That's true. The state's attorney does have more discretion, and Eric Reinhardt has shown extremely poor judgment. And the very fact that he put his name on the Safety Act, supporting it, and still defends it.
The Safety Act is
and Mary has been very strong in criticizing the Safety Act. But if she's elected, you really think the streets will be just as unsafe as they are under Eric Reinhardt? Because I don't. And
I do.
More importantly than what you or I think,
because the
police unions in this county are all going to everyone that's going to make an endorsement. Some stay neutral. don't want to be political, and I
If
respect
the
it.
police
If they get
union
political,
voice meant anything,
no police
Joe.
union is going to endorse Eric Reinhardt, and the ones
Okay.
that are going to endorse Mary Cole.
Okay, so if the police union meant anything, if their voice meant anything, Mark Weiss would have won as sheriff. It's not going to help her. As a matter of fact, you want to know what the greatest blessing was for me to try to run as a Democrat. And I do have a heart for people. And so I do have a lot of Democrat values. To be honest, I'm just a conservative, traditional religious individual. But the reality, faithful individual, I should say. But the reality is this: when you have when you're pushing candidates that people, and I'm the one that outed her voter card. I mean, she's a hard voting Democrat.
Nothing to out. It's public record. She doesn't deny it.
Yeah, but when she runs around saying she's not, when Joan Lasande and all the Mungers and the Suris, the same ones that picked Jim Karras. I mean, this is when you go to the Democrat meetings, there's not one paid individual. There's not one consulting group managing their township. It's all volunteers. Lauren Beth Gash.
I'll be glad to know
Lauren
that
Beth Gash has been running. Let me say something. Lauren Beth Gash, and I don't like her politics at all. She has been running circles around you guys for years. She single-handedly upended the political climate of Lake County. And she outsmarted everybody along the way.
Guess who beat her?
So when you sit in armchair,
who beat her for Congress, Joe? Who beat Lauren Beth Gash for Congress?
Excuse me. So when you sit here, well, she's in a more powerful position right now. If she didn't want Brad Schneider in office, he wouldn't be.
Mark Kirk beat her.
Hey, she wouldn't be. But here's the thing, Mark Kirk, when you have these individuals, and I sat down for 2 hours with Mark Kirk. I thought he was great. He laughed when I said, I'm going to run for president. So the reality is, yeah, he said, only 3 congressmen have ever run for president, et cetera, et cetera. That was my goal. I wanted to dip my toe into the political, because I do believe I have something to offer. But the reality is this: when you have a Democrat machine working the way it is, the Republicans don't even have the vote to win an election heads up, let alone swing votes, et cetera. So how could you sit here honestly and say that you believe the police union or these other voices are going to sway an election? All you're doing is trying to provoke individuals to give money to failed candidates so all the cronies down the line can get a check. They don't want, it's transactional for them, Joe. They don't want they're there to inhibit these Republicans from winning. They just want to get paid along the way. That's all this is.
I think
and party.
You are correct. No, you are correct. There are some consultants who do better than others, and their track record speaks for themselves. But elections are not about.
Let me know what consultant does better.
I'm not going to get. That's insider stuff that the regular doesn't care.
Can you both take a breath for a second? We're going on 50 minutes here.
I still got questions.
I don't think I've said anything. Let's talk strategy.
My co-host Pete Jansen's. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
I thought it was Joe Weiss.
All right, a couple things. Joe Severino, you keep saying you got dirt on Congressman Schneider. Mm-hmm. When you went up in that meeting and you're holding this piece of paper, what was on it?
It was a redacted FOIA. So we have other information. Obviously, I wasn't going to give it.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah. I have other information.
That was
nothing. I have other information. I have testimony from the police officers that were there. I'm not naive enough to pass it out.
Hold on, Severino.
Okay.
If I say send me the information that you have, will there be anything that I can put up and say, aha? Because
I will say this.
You sent me a FOIA that wasn't aha.
One time on the ballot.
It was shit.
One time
nothing.
The FOIA I had, and I said,
hold on, Jackson.
You asked for
no. You said something that he had a prostitute at his home. There was nothing in that.
Okay, so here's what it is.
That.
I do have
either he did or he didn't.
Listen, I do have other information, and I have testimony from the police officers that were there. So once
you have written testimony. Hold on, you have written testimony.
I'm not passing out information, Pete. Here's the thing: I'm not.
You don't have
out information.
Stop saying that.
to work. I'll be promoting that information once I'm on the ballot as an independent.
Okay. So
I mean, Joe,
you don't have it. So that's the second thing. All right. I'm calling balls.
Okay, go ahead. That's fair. That's fair. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's talk strategy here. All right.
Okay.
How does somebody that's not a Democrat win in this district, especially since it's been reconfigured or whatever? I'm getting ahead of my skis here.
Mhm.
To become more blue. And if I'm wrong, guys, stop me. The Democrats, they are incented to go out and vote and get things going because they have jobs on the line to keep going. How? Because the stuff that what you did for the last 45 minutes, I think that's what's the problem with the Republican Party. That's all you have, this stuff going, and people are sitting back and listening. And what did I just listen to? I just missed 50 minutes of my life. Okay. So to defeat Brad Schneider, either you got dirt or you don't. If you don't have dirt, then I'm looking at what his strategy is just over the last 90 days, just looking at his tweets. Okay, because that should be a representation of how he wants to market what he's going on. And I see more than half of what he's putting out there doesn't have anything to do with the 10th district, unless we think that the 10th district is a majority of Jewish people. Am I looking at it the right way?
You are. And that's why I call him stay-at-home Brad. Before I ran, and here's something. There's residual value in endeavors, Pete. So I ran an aggressive race, almost a solo race. I had a wonderful campaign manager, Eric Burgess, who feels for the community like I do and wants to affect change and make better lives for people so they can thrive. Well, the reality is, Brad Schneider, I would call him stay-at-home Brad. Now, after I started to call him that and got out there and really ran a race that people were resonating with, even if the politicos didn't, he got out there. He stopped being the guy that shows up at the parade with a quick, photograph. He actually started to get into the community. So that's a plus for us. So the reality is he doesn't concentrate on the district. He concentrates on where he can look good, even in tough, instead of like me, I will take
first politician to do that.
What's that?
You wouldn't be the first politician to do that.
Well, hold on. We're talking strategy, and Congressman Schneider, that's a strategy that's winning because for the lack of a better term, he's not stepping in any dog crap, right? Mm-hmm. He's staying he's staying quiet, whatever it is. The only thing that I'm kind of questioning is, and then Joe, you cringed. I brought up the Jewish thing. Mm-hmm. Look, man, I ain't got nothing against Jews. I got nothing, this Hamas stuff or whatever. Look, I'm in the 10th district. Okay. Half of the guy that I'm paying his salary for is dealing with issues that are outside of the 10th district. So Joe, when you cringed, is there a majority of Jewish people that would?
Not a majority, but the 10th district has the highest percentage of Jewish population of any congressional district in Illinois, and one of the highest in the country.
Right.
That said, Israel and the security of Israel is not a Jewish issue. It is a human issue. My God.
Hold on. No. Forget into the marketing thing. Hold on. Look, there's bad stuff happening. There's bad stuff happening in Cicero. We got 60 people getting killed in Chicago every month. Okay.
Not because of their religion.
But
there's Christians being killed all over the
they kill Christians too. They beheaded the
You don't hear anything about the Christians getting killed. Here's the thing. We've said, Joe, you have to understand, I was at school boards telling them that the tactics they are using are Nazi-esque. So, and then all of a sudden we visit the Hamas incident, a terrorist act. Well, you could see, you need people that have the foresight to see where these things are going to, how the future will unfold. When you sit back thinking that you're not going to be attacked, I put out a press release stating that Joe Biden should immediately close the borders. The weapons from Afghanistan are unaccounted for. They could be smuggled into the United States. Something atrocious like that could happen right here on our own land.
But I think you just fell into the trap that Darren Bailey did a couple of years ago.
Uh,
Let me finish. I disagree with a lot of things school boards do.
Mhm.
Okay, but they're not running into people's houses and killing them because of their religion, like Hamas did, or like just did, or Nazis did in 1930s.
So
okay,
it's
There's
better
people
marketing.
Hey, you're not,
There's
when you
people-
say never, there's a flow
people
chart in
kicking in
politics.
doors of Lake Forest residents right now.
There's a flow chart in politics, and it says, and it's anytime you think about comparing something to Hitler or to the Nazis, and the flow chart all leads to don't. Okay, and so when look, I didn't agree with the COVID restrictions.
I didn't compare
Okay,
anything. What I'm telling you is,
you just said you went to school board meetings and said what they were doing was Nazi.
if you didn't
So unless
see,
you can
as a
find
matter of
school
fact, what
board
I
members
told them,
written
you might not be
outside
Nazis, but you're
kill
closing
them.
train doors.
That's
That's what I said.
what?
Okay.
I
Let's
said they
get
might
back.
not be
Why,
Nazis,
this
but
is
they're
why
closing
you
train
and
doors.
Darren Bailey can't win on the North Shore. You
No,
make
no,
comparisons.
nobody can't win. Bob
Nazis.
Dole. That's who can't win on the North Shore.
Bob Dole never compared anyone to a Nazi except a Nazi.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Can
here
we-
you are. You're
can we
like
get back to
Chris,
Dole won
strategy?
more elections than you did.
what's
All
that?
Zero. In
What?
your
Yeah,
case.
he had $10 million in every establishment.
Because the
I know
numbers
you're
were
the
there for him
party
to win,
swamp
bud.
creature helping him. He
Joe,
still
you're a
couldn't
hell of
win.
a guy, but you can't win. And when
Hey,
you
listen.
bring up Nazis in the context that you did a minute ago,
Okay, so this
school
whole
boards,
conversation you're
that's
talking
really
about Nazis.
stupid.
Let
That's
me ask you
stupid.
this. I'm a real individual. I don't parade. I don't ask what I should and shouldn't say. I speak
Don't run for Congress
honestly,
then.
honestly and directly to the people, and they seem to like it. People like you don't.
Anecdotally, yes.
Look how
but then
uncomfortable. You can't even sit still.
yeah,
Look at you.
You're going to find people out there when you go around or run into people wherever you do that say, you know what, Joe, I like you, or I used to be. But the numbers that's anecdotal. There's no statistical data behind anything you're doing.
Was there statistical data behind Donald Trump when he beat Hillary Clinton?
I make data-driven decisions, and I've seen no data.
Oh my gosh!
That
Are you
shows-
in Illinois data information? Is
What?
that what
You lost by 40.
Guys.
You lost.
Wait, are you a strategist?
No, I'm telling you like it is. Are you? You're certainly not.
Oh,
If you
We have
think
derailed.
comparing a school board to Nazis, calling them Nazi-esque, is a good political strategy, good luck.
when
Good luck.
you censor people, and exude your authority over their behavior, that's not Nazi-esque. Period.
Look, I don't agree with a lot of things.
It's
school
like
boards
two
do. I was a
ADHD
school board
kids
member who
staring at
disagreed
something
with a lot of
shiny.
the-
No,
school
don't
board-
diminish my value here, Pete. What I'm saying is absolutely true.
This is
This
why-
guy
I'm not saying
obviously
it's
has
not.
an agenda. I don't.
I'm talking about strategy, how to beat Schneider, and I don't hear.
Okay, so here's what you do.
Bringing up
First of
Nazis
all,
in
you
that
get rid of
context.
people.
Well,
You get rid of
Kind of
people.
where I
that-
was going, if you guys would shut the fuck up for a second, is
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I said it.
Very
Now
profane, Pete.
censoring
Very
Yeah,
us.
I
profane.
said it. No, fine. Demonetized. I'm not making any money on this anyways. I brought up the Jewish thing because there is something because Schneider went with the Iran deal, right?
Mhm.
So
Brad
why-
Schneider sent
Terrible
out
move.
Brad
Terrible
Schneider,
move.
Joe. Brad Schneider sent out emails. I brought it to the GOP leadership, and I said, "Look, if Brad Schneider sent out emails asking pro-Palestine and pro-Israel individuals, sent them different emails asking for contributions." Okay, that to me was something I wanted to speak about at the Jewish Coalition. They said you can't talk about it here. I was literally censored in the synagogue.
No,
So
that's wrong, and you should have. I'll agree that you should have been able to bring it up, and I agree.
Thank you.
Brett Snyder needs to be called out on his support for
Thank
Iran.
okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, but that's different than calling somebody a Nazi.
No,
Okay.
no. And a Nazi-esque behaviors is an association. I'm not calling them Nazis.
Okay, let's get
You
back
can say
to
something
strategy.
is analogous.
Make a
Joe,
dime
please.
off of this,
Joe,
but I'm just telling you,
You
that's a
can
really
say
dumb thing
something,
to do.
Joe, you can say something is analogous to something without calling. I can say, I don't like you acting like an idiot, or you are an idiot, are two hugely different statements.
There's a difference between calling somebody an idiot and calling them a Nazi.
Okay, so
Kills millions of people. So unless someone is killing lots of people, you don't call them a Nazi.
Okay, so would you say that the people that are killing Christians all over the world are Nazi?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
What
Not
else?
school board censoring people, though.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, censoring is, so go ahead.
Okay. How?
It's
Okay.
a German Marxist tactic. Go ahead.
So the Iran thing, that's an objective thing. Okay. That doesn't, I don't hear too much about. And in the last 90 days, Congressman Schneider only had one post on the border and immigration. And we're talking about nobody cares right now, but the first train loads of immigrants that get dropped off in Lake Forest, that Jewish interest is going to be down here, and then the immigration thing is going to be up there. Why aren't we talking more about that? Because Chicago, holy crap, you see them tents?
Yeah,
Those tent cities, and and people think I'm an extremist on this. It's you got 2 train stations in this town. It's very easy to have that happen, and we're in a long stretch of cold weather. Why isn't that being talked about more in the 10th district? Because
if I may, Joe, and I agree with you, Pete. Here's the reality: Cary, Illinois, just had the migrants dropped off. They were told that they were going to be taken to Chicago, and they dropped them off there. The bus drivers were literally telling them that was Chicago, not Cary. So what they're doing is they're dropping and depositing these individuals off because they want to get them registered as voters, and they want to increase the Democrat voting base by having these migrants come to select designed areas. That's what's happening here.
well,
So Governor Abbott is doing this. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott is doing this.
he's sending him to a sanctuary city,
Well, who's sending him here?
Texas.
Abbott's bragging that he's sending
Yeah,
him
well,
here.
yeah, Joe Biden's letting him in. And here's the thing: I
Joe
said
Biden's letting him in, and then Abbott's sending him here.
Yeah,
So
and I
he's
said-
both then, right?
yeah, but he also closed that pathway now, the Eagle Crossing or whatever it is. The
I
reality.
agree with border security, but I'm just saying if Abbott is sending,
Do you agree with the wall, Joe?
yeah, we should have a wall. Yes, I
Okay,
agree,
good.
and I think most swing voters agree. Do you think we should deport everyone that's here illegally and their children?
Do I think that we should deport everybody that's here legally?
Illegally.
I think a lot of the people need to. Here's the thing: if you serve in the armed forces, if you're a contributor, if you're not a criminal, etc., I think there should be. Here's the tough part of this: when you create an atmosphere for someone to come here, and they leave their home thinking that there's going to be an opportunity for them in the U.S., it's very difficult from a human perspective to uproot them and send them back. But the reality is, it's not sustainable. On one hand, what they want to do is they're trying to make up for a population loss by letting all these migrants come in. They're trying to get them in to do jobs others won't do. I mean, I don't know if you seen the service environment now that we have? I mean, it's atrocious.
Yeah, employers can't find employees.
No. And just like me, I was sued. Amazon, Uber, FedEx, all these guys. And I was sued as a private individual, not even under the corporate veil. But the reality is there's such a hostility toward employers now, particularly in the blue states. And so we don't have enough jobs to fulfill. And now there's such a lapse in service to me, which is you can't even stay at a great hotel anymore and have good service. It's get a meal served to you properly. People are all over YouTube, whatever, they're spitting in food and writing, horrific, profane messages to individuals that didn't tip to their liking. So the reason I say that is I would, as an employer, love for individuals to come in and want to contribute and help and support and grow our economy. But that's not what's happening here. They're being used as human capital. They're being positioned in places that help the political elite and their agenda rather than supporting communities. And anyone that's here that hasn't been supporting our community that came illegal should go back.
I haven't seen anything from Congressman Schneider talking about this issue because the problem that we have, I think, is we have states trying to deal with federal problems. Is that the root core issue? If that's the case, then why isn't Schneider saying anything about that? That is something that he should be. Is he just not saying anything, not to bring it up? Hopefully nobody notices, but once those train loads get dropped off, everybody will be noticing and it's too late.
They've been dropped off in a lot of other cities in his district, Highland Park, Libertyville. I'm sure there's some others.
So why isn't he like getting in front of
that? He doesn't have to. He's insulated. When Keith Brin was on your show, what did he say? Keith Brin should be screaming. He's the Illinois GOP Lake County chair. He should be screaming that they're being dropped off in his own time.
He was on the show before that started happening, in fairness to him. Come on.
Okay, so Joe,
well, he could put a press release out yesterday.
And in fairness to Keith, we didn't ask him that question, Joe. So it's
put a press release out yesterday. You don't have to be on the Lake Forest podcast to exercise thought.
That's true.
No question if we exercise thought here.
There's no thoughts here. So Severino, what would you do differently than what Schneider's doing?
We need a.
Don't give me buzzwords. Give me actual things.
I never have. We need to shine a spotlight on what's going on. We need the people to wake up and understand that we have to work together. If the people started communicating as one, you know what? In the Bible, it says, once we communicate as one, there's nothing we can't accomplish. We need to get the people together and start resonating their voice into getting rid of the individuals that are causing this harm. We have barriers here. He says, oh, Dan Rogers, you're not running against him. This guy's a barrier for communication. These people are barriers for the inept exercise of authority.
What would you do differently? Give me something. You're still giving me the word salad.
I could be inspiring to people, and I am going to be inspiring to people.
That's a very democratic subject.
And champion them up and to show them, it's. And like I said about Joe earlier with the armchair quarterbacking, talking politics and polls and all this nonsense, the reality is you have to talk to the human. You have to talk to the person. And once we start doing that and letting them know, when you have the GOP, Illinois GOP, not holding Democrats accountable, guess what? They feel less accountable. So we need inspirational leaders that can get in positions to champion people up, to hold them accountable.
So let me ask you this, because I don't want to.
Hold on, Joe. You didn't say anything. You didn't say what you would do. What would you do differently? This border issue. If you're a member of Congress, what would you do? I would immediately publish legislation stating that our border should be closed and make them accountable to respond to it. I would do that day one. So you're in the 10th district, and these bus loads are getting dropped off. What's your plan? Like what?
Well, there's nothing you could do locally. You could do, what are you going to do? As a matter of fact, somebody asked me, hey, Joe, you're running for Congress. Why don't you come get rid of the guy that's homeless over here? And was mad that I didn't do anything. The reality is I can't intercept federal law and start physically removing people or suggest that occurs. What you have to do is throw the onus on the decisions being made by the inept. It doesn't make, look at Dan McConkey. He's a Republican here, and he just voted to have non-citizens arrest citizens as police officers.
Do you think Governor Abbott should stop sending? If you were elected to Congress, would Congressman Severino say to Texas Governor Abbott, stop sending these people to Illinois?
I don't have to be a congressman to say that. I'll say right now, treating people this way, using them for political advantage is atrocious. They're using people as political capital, and I think it's absolutely wrong from every level of life.
Right. Let me ask you this about the independent candidacy, because this is a question a lot of folks have asked me, hearing that you were coming on and stuff. By my count, looking at the state statute, you need a minimum of 12,108 signatures.
Correct.
To get on the ballot. That is, and I don't know when you start. I don't know when.
March 19th.
You start after the primary?
Yeah, March 19th.
You have to, I think you have how many, 90 days to do it then?
Yeah, March 19th. We already have.
Mid-June is when your deadline is.
I think June 21st.
So you have a 90-day window, minimum 12,108. By my public school math, that's 135 signatures a day.
That's we already have 30 volunteers that are going to be deposited in different areas that have already committed to get actual, because this is going to be a very tough. And you have to understand, this is actually a blessing for me. It is harder and more exhausting, but the reality is the payoff is greater. 12,000 signatures, which our plan is to turn in about 18,000. But the reality is, it's a chance to campaign and get to know people.
So come June, we'll find out whether you get it or not, right? I mean,
there's no doubt I'll be on the ballot. I'm telling you. And when
I first hire people to do this, it's all going to be volunteer.
I already have companies that are coming from out of state to help collect signatures. I have the volunteers. I have more volunteers coming on, so they'll be both paid and volunteer.
You'll disclose all those expenditures in your FEC reports.
Absolutely.
Because here's a question I have on your FEC report.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at your report from the last election in 2022, and you received $34,275.
Yeah, that sounds right.
You dispersed, in other words, spent $21,919. That's a rough math there. That's like a $13,000, $12,000 difference. But then cash on hand is zero. It's actually negative $9,350.
No, it should be. There were other expenditures that should be there. I haven't looked at my FEC forms.
You might want to look at your filing and amend it, because that's
whatever has to be done, I'll have done. But the reality is, there were other things we did, like the Genesee Theater was the cost of like $3,600, whatever it was, and they never received their check. So there were other payments that were made post our last filing that should reflect. But whatever it is, I mean, it's all legitimate.
I'm just saying, there are rules about what you have to disclose and when you disclose it. And those are legitimate campaign issues that opponents can bring up. We brought up.
Let them. They can talk about money all they want. People are sick and tired of that. Let me tell you something. TJ Brown posted all my disclosures online. When I said Richard Porter was
corrupt, FEC posts all your disclosures online.
Let me say
somebody else.
No, TJ Brown did.
Well, the FEC posted it.
Excuse me. Where do you live, Joe? What area do you live?
I live in Lake Forest.
You're in Lake Forest. Okay. So TJ Brown posted my disclosures online, accusing me of mismanaging or not filing in time. That's all this swamp creature stuff that people are sick and tired of hearing. If I made an error, or I'm not even the one that does that. If someone made an error, big deal, we'll rectify it. You saying, that's what the political will do. Let's talk about Jim Karras's brother, who strong-armed individual and was sued, sitting on a planning board just like he does with Barrett Davies.
Karras's brother isn't running for Congress. Karras is.
You're a reflection of who you're around.
Okay.
Look, all these things. But can I ask you one more? The bankruptcy issue, and it came up in the last campaign.
Yeah.
But this is something that a lot of people had concern about. Your opponent made an issue of it, and I'm sure it becomes an issue again. Explain to us, in your bankruptcy filing, according to your filing with the bank. Federal bankruptcy filing, you owed the IRS $353,000 in back taxes. You owed the Illinois Department of Revenue, the state, $1,000 in back taxes. What happened there?
So what happened is, when you file for a subcontract, there's a 941 form. You physically have to put a 0 there rather than leave it blank. For some reason, somebody left it blank and they assessed me a certain amount of money. The reality is, sometimes if you do well, you pay a lot more in tax. So what's going to happen is I filed the Chapter 11 as a litigation protection, the mechanism, which I needed to do because I was sued and there was an ex parte judgment put against me when I was never even in court. So I had to do that to stay litigation, which worked out very well. And you're not telling anybody that bankruptcy's been Chapter 11, like L'Oreal, United Airlines, Toys R Us, all filed a Chapter 11.
They're not running for Congress. You are.
Yeah, but the reality is, it's not what somebody that's insolvent does. You don't. It cost me $500,000 to prove. Hey, it cost me $500,000 along the path of filing that Chapter 11. Literally, I cash out of pocket. So the reality is, it wasn't about insolvency. They try to make it as about insolvency, like you're bringing it up now. But the reality is, when I filed the Chapter 11, everything stops. So I'm literally waiting for the IRS to send me a final bill, and I'll pay it in full. And I'll disclose that.
Because here's a legitimate question that people have asked me, and a lot. You talk about want to talk to the regular voter.
Yeah,
regular people pay their taxes on time when they're owed.
So what is legitimately owed?
When somebody
Nobody's paying anybody any taxes they don't owe.
So you're saying you don't owe the $400,000 that's in the bankruptcy filing?
There was a portion of that. Wait a second. Wait, stop. First of all, the Chapter 11 is very distinct and different from any other 7 or 13 bankruptcy. You cannot relinquish liability of payment to anybody. Chapter 11, you have to pay all your bills. There's no question. So that's
you pay it on time.
So that's number one. I didn't have to pay it on time. It wasn't late until I started to litigate that it wasn't owed.
So when every April 15th you paid the taxes due, if you had estimated taxes.
What I'm telling you, Joe, it's very complex. No, it's very complex. The reality is, I didn't know what they said I did because there was a digit that was absent on a form. They assessed a certain amount that was that they tried to get me to pay. The reality is, I proved it wasn't owed. Now, post dismissing the Chapter 11, I dismiss that Chapter 11 and I'm doing better than ever. So the reality is, once I get that final bill, I'll pay it and I won't owe them anything. They have that amount tethered to a property which I own. So I mean, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not going to relinquish or try not to pay the IRS. And in my Chapter 11, you cannot dismiss payments of anything. So I would, whatever I owe the IRS would be paid in full.
Right. So my other question, though, and again, these are questions that I think come up when someone runs for office and can be used against you. Is we received on one of our posts, I think the last time you were on the show, someone commented on one of our posts. It's an HVAC contractor out of Park Ridge that said you owed $4,200 for work done on a property that you owned in Park Ridge.
Okay.
You never paid. So what's the answer to that issue?
So the answer is, anybody that does competent work for me or any of my properties gets paid. That's my answer.
Including the quality of the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Look,
but again,
I don't ask those questions, somebody else will.
Let me ask you this. If I own 10 LLCs and own 80 properties, the incident for something to occur where somebody wants to sue me, I've been sued, they've tried to foreclose. I've never lost a legal battle in my life because, so if you have any kind of business, when you do a lot of business, the incident for legal matters is going to increase.
Trump pays nobody on time. Never.
Well,
the only thing with Trump,
and that is costing some votes. But with all due respect, Joe, you're not Donald Trump. Trump gets away with things that no other politician gets away with. Right? So I'm just saying.
I'm not concerned. Well, if Jim Karras or Brad Schneider want to talk about an HVAC guy,
they spend
the money on me. Spend the money on me instead of each other. And see how far that gets.
As a candidate for Congress, you're supposed to file all of your income, and you mentioned your opponent.
I think strategists like you should be showing the world what they have.
I'm not a strategist.
Because to me, people like you, very respectfully, that are trying to be on the political fringe and profit off it or be memorable in some way,
I don't make a dime off of this. I lose money on this deal, Joe.
Would you run for?
Your school board and village trustee. Right. Those are not positions. So
let me ask you this: what kind of wealth do you have?
I'm not running for Congress. If
What
I
kind
do,
of wealth do you have?
Let me
Send us a snapshot of what's in your bank account right now.
All right. Here's my point. My point is,
I want to know what the strategists
Joe,
have, because when I
Joe,
look at what they
Joe,
have,
if I ever
there
run
are
for,
a lot
if
of
I'm
bust
ever dumb
outs.
enough to, if I'm ever dumb enough after being on this podcast week after week, creating a whole opposition file against me to run for Congress, it is a fair question to ask me because, but I will disclose that in my FEC reports. My point is, I don't think you've disclosed all of your assets in the FEC reports like you're supposed to.
Mhm.
So,
Well, file a complaint with the FEC like TJ Brown and the rest of the swamp rats.
TJ Brown isn't running for Congress. You are.
No, right? But TJ Brown represents the congressional district. And when you have somebody,
he's a volunteer.
Excuse me. I went to TJ Brown and said, TJ, Richard Porter's corrupt. I'd like to speak to the group and let him know.
That's a way to start a conversation.
Excuse me. I was already buddies with them. All these people liked me first. You have to understand that. If they all
calling him corrupt.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Because I was unwilling. When I decided to run for Congress, I wanted to run to help people. When I saw that there's individuals out there that didn't want to fight for people, it became appalling to me. And then I started to turn against them. So if I'm not a congressional candidate or a congressman at the end of this, and I don't have that designation, I'll be just as happy sitting here and visiting the podcast as if I was there. I don't need to build my ego or my wealth on being a congressman like a lot of these scummy swamp rats do.
So why are you running for Congress?
I'm running to affect change and bring the exact same voice I have here there. Never once have I said something that's been contradicted. Never once have I said something that's, what is it?
I contradicted you.
Brad Schneider was arrested for prostitution?
I didn't say he was arrested. I never said he was arrested.
Okay, what did he do with a prostitute?
Did I say, see, there you go. Did I say he was arrested?
Okay, so tell us what you think Brad Schneider did involving.
At this point, I'm going to use that information. I also have information.
It's going to come out during your campaign.
I also have information that he orchestrated, which is going to come out before he orchestrated the January 6th riot.
Brad Schneider orchestrated?
Yeah, you better believe he did. Riot. The Democrats did it, and I have information. Who
won the presidential election in 2020?
Joe Biden. That's almost offensive. I mean,
why? Because there's a lot of Republicans that think he didn't.
That's so beneath the intellect and the will of the people.
Did you see the opinion poll out of the Iowa caucus that the majority of Iowa caucus voters thought that Trump won the election?
No, they thought that there was cheating that went on that did go on. And let's go to the cheating again. Joe, if you care so much about our democracy and being a Republican, where were you fighting that my race stopped for an hour and they replaced my flash drive?
I didn't think you'd win. If I thought you'd win.
Okay, so
win.
Okay, so if I would have won by 5%,
you say Anthony Vega cheated? Wait, no, Robin O'Connor.
Excuse me. If I won by 5% more, let's just say hypothetically. Don't get nervous and sip. I'm asking. If I won by 5% more, if I won by 5% more, then we would have looked better going forward. Nice, Pete.
So they cheated because they didn't want you to make the race look closer, but you still would have lost pretty handily to Schneider.
No, I believe this.
What percentage do you think you should have gotten against Brad Schneider in 2022?
I don't know. I don't know if it was 1 vote or 2, but I do know that it was reported to the FBI that they had a bus going from precinct to precinct. The same people were getting off. They got gift cards. It wasn't looked into properly. There's a lot that went on. And again, when you have the media, when you have people like you that are out there to talk about all the bad about an individual, rather than what they did right or how they want to really help. Let me ask you this. You've been around, you said politics for how long?
How long I've been around? I mean,
yeah,
I grew up in a political house, so I guess.
Okay, so how much money have you given? What money have you given to charities?
Given a lot of money. I don't have the number in front of me, but I've given a lot of money time. And Joe, you're trying to run.
I don't know very many political
things. Joe, you're trying to run against me.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you
that aren't on the ballot.
How much money? Would you say a couple 100,000? Would you say a couple 100,000?
I don't know, Joe. I don't know. All right.
Okay.
Should I have given more over the years? Absolutely. Everyone should give more.
Okay, I'd like to know how much you gave because if you
Look,
came here, well, you're
I'm
disparaging
not
me
running.
that's given hundreds of thousands of dollars to charity, never asked for anything, never even claimed it on my taxes, but you're accusing me of being a tax cheat.
I didn't accuse you. I'm asking you questions about why you were late.
Hey, you know what, Joe? How about this?
You said you
I
owed-
gave in 2016, I probably gave 300,000 in philanthropy cash, but
You
I
didn't
never,
write that off.
excuse me,
And
and
that's dumb.
never wrote it off because when I give, I
That's
give.
dumb.
So what do you think about that? Do you think that's
I
a
think
good
that- I
guy?
think that- I'm not sure, Joe. Why wouldn't you write off these charitable
There's
contributions?
nothing here to vote off of.
It
Here,
doesn't
Joe
matter
Weiss,
because
hold on. Joe Weiss,
when
what are
he's
the top,
accusing me of not paying taxes on time,
Your own bank.
I could have took that $300 I gave and paid taxes. It's just meant to disparage me rather than
what's
to
that's
flesh
what I'm
out
saying.
concern.
There's nothing to vote on here.
Joe, I would rather talk about the issues, but it's issues like
What-
this that
what-
distract the voters from voting for you.
Okay,
You
there's enough
bringing it up is
distractions.
trying to distract them.
What are the top
Why we went with a different candidate this time.
Joe Weiss, what are the top 3 issues in the 10th district? Any idea?
Top issues in any district are taxes, and for crime,
Public safety.
tax, public safety, and for federal office, which Joe is running for, national security, which I believe includes Israel.
Okay. 4th thing, can I put it on there? What are you guys' thoughts of these people that are coming in? Two ideas, because I hate pointing the
And
finger.
national security includes border security.
I hate pointing the finger without offering a solution. So
Famous line.
all these people that are all these people that are coming in, we got a big thing that's going to happen. I don't know when it is, but we have all this commercial real estate that's out there that nobody's in. What if we put the people in there, get them somehow registered on a probation type deal, get them a job of these jobs that people don't want, and just scan them? I mean,
here's the thing, Pete. Jim Karras works for Collier's Real Estate. Collier's Real Estate manages commercial real estate. Collier's Real Estate owns a fund called the Rockwood Investments, where they're literally managing the money or the assets of like sovereign governments. And that's the way they're filtering and selling our beautiful California coast to the Chinese and other companies, whatever's happening. The reality is this. Why isn't Jim Karras on the podcast? And
He'll be coming on. He'll be coming on. I've spoken with him.
You should have him on with me.
No, we're not
having him on with me. Yeah.
He's going to come on. He'll be on as a guest. Look, if
that guy was too cowardly. Jim Karras is a creep.
He's not a coward.
And he was too cowardly to even call me.
This is why nobody takes you seriously. When you say things like that.
Oh, no? Yeah, okay. When all you guys are doing is trying to make money off the guy.
I'm not making a dime off anyone here.
They're throwing money off him.
He's
too naive. He's too naive. He's giving it to all of you. That's all there is to it.
Look,
just tell me why don't we do that? These people that are coming in, why don't we just register them? Okay, it's not Ellis Island.
To vote. That's what Joe just said the Democrats want to do.
Yeah.
So you saying we registered him to vote, Pete? Look, Pete's not running.
No, I said probationary. Number one, we don't want to have a Miami thing with Carter or whatever that was, where we had a Scarface issue in Miami. But they come in, these Mexicans, Latin Americans, the ones that I've known, I've grown up with, they got a strong work ethic. They want to work. Why don't we put them to work for a period of time? They pay their taxes and, help pay back for the commercial property that they're living in. Is that stupid?
Well, they can't
anyways.
They can't inherit ownership. How are you going to, judge whether they're going to pay their bills or not? How are you going to support themselves? Is that all going to come out of taxpayer money?
Well, they get it. It's coming out now anyways. I'm saying get ahead of it so you can budget it, because the green card process, how long does that take?
There's not even enough money. There isn't even enough jobs to support the influx of migrants here. I
heard you guys say there's a bunch of jobs that Americans don't want.
No, we're saying, no, what I'm saying personally is that there's our work ethic is so bad now, and individuals don't even want to do the job. They were sitting at home getting paid for 3 years. Now, all of a sudden, they have to get out there and work in the cold, et cetera, and they're miserable about it. We've been mismanaging our people for a very long time. Now it's time for true leaders. Let me ask you this, Joe. Here's the problem I have, and this might
I didn't hear your solution.
Being in the leadership position for so long, and it's very difficult for me to take advice from individuals that haven't been successful or in leadership positions in specific instances. Joe, what have you led? Like, give me a quick idea about your background, because
I'm not the candidate, but my background speaks for itself. I was an elected official for 12 years, a local elected official. I was involved in
capacity.
I worked on winning campaigns.
Okay, there you are.
So Republican campaigns. Okay. But
are you helping Karras or Cole?
I'm a private citizen.
Are you helping Karras or Cole right now?
I'm supporting our Republican candidates.
There you go. There you go.
Mary Cole. Yeah, I'm going to help them. Yeah, I'm going to help them. You're darn right I'm going to help.
So right there, you're saying that I'm an adversary, and you took this moment rather than to learn about me as a candidate to try to expose me on a podcast and talk about Nazis and everything else. You're what's wrong with Illinois politics. You, and I'm glad to add you to the list. You, Dan Rogers, Rob Metz, TJ Brown, Richard Porter.
Nobody knows who any of these people are except when you bring them up.
Oh, I know.
Well, they're learning about them. They're learning about them now.
Nobody cares.
Yes, that's what you think.
Baseball, Joe.
You want people. That's what I'm doing. I'm pulling back the curtain, because I think it's atrocious that guys like you can sit around and try to be memorable in some capacity while
I'm not trying to be memorable. I'm asking you questions on a show. I can
what you did was you brought up three potentially damaging situations. Let me ask you this, but I bring up about Karras or Cole, and all of a sudden you have no issue. Karras or Cole is not with my voice and my support. Karras and Cole are not getting elected. I hope you know.
All right. When we had Mary Cole on the show, we asked her about her primary ballot history and her past involvement in the Democratic Party. So we've asked that question, and when Jim Karras comes on, we'll ask questions. If you got some questions that are based on
legitimacy, promoting some information about Jim.
Go back and watch. Did you watch the Mary Cole interview? Did you watch it?
I didn't. I have no interest in Mary Cole whatsoever.
All right. But my point here is, look, if I don't ask these questions, other people will. I'm just here because the whole premise of it is that a lot lot of people.
Joe. Hold
on.
No. A lot of people don't care about a Chapter 11. Do you know the amount of wealth in Lake Forest and how many people have filed the Chapter 11 in Lake Forest?
And if they ran for Congress, their opponent would probably bring it.
So all of a sudden I should curtail my life or my ability to help? Should I not throw water on a fire because, I filed the Chapter 11?
No, but
it's absurd your position.
The only concern that people have about the Chapter 11 is the 300. You go to you want to appeal to regular voters.
It'll be paid.
Taxes on time, and you didn't pay.
It'll be paid.
Almost $400.
You know how I'm going to appear to regular voters?
Why didn't you pay your taxes on time like the rest of them?
I'll appear to regular voters by telling them that there's a uniparty in Illinois that's antithetical to the thriving and the success of our community and our state, because they care more about profiting, and they're basically bust outs.
We want to win elections and
disparaging information.
These volunteers that you keep
put a false light
on win elections, Joe.
I'm sorry?
You keep disparaging.
Is Marko Sukovic a volunteer?
I have no idea about
with Suris. Is he a volunteer? You know exactly who he is. He's one of the founders or an owner in Suris, and he manages Vernon Township.
So what?
So we have an election individual.
I don't think anybody in the Democratic Party does that.
And then they don't. They have actual volunteers.
Mike Madigan and Ed Burke didn't make a dime in their public service to the Democratic Party. Okay,
they don't have.
Our gas doesn't make a dime in her service.
They don't have election companies. Look how red your face is. I'm right. They don't have election companies.
Drew Beidler hired all the Democratic Party.
Joe,
look at her.
They don't have election companies.
Including the Libertyville Democratic chairman.
Listen, Mr. Deliverance himself, Dan Rogers, is running around representing Souris, and Souris is managing that township. In Wheeling, they're managing it. In Vernon Township, and now we're all failing. So Barrett Davey,
what got to do with you running for Congress?
Excuse me. So Barrett Davey. Oh, so does that mean that because you're not running for office right now, you can't talk or ask questions about anybody?
Oh, I can ask. Yeah, I can ask questions, but I'm just saying, if I'm an average voter, I don't care about.
That's the problem. You think you're better than the average voter. The average voter cares. The average voter cares.
Like Mike Madigan did.
Let me ask you this: did you win your last race?
Yes.
You won the last time you ran. You won.
Yeah, yes, I won 3 times.
Okay, as what?
As a village trustee in Morton Grove.
Oh, you were a trustee in Morton Grove.
Yeah, back a long time ago. Well, yeah, obviously didn't read my bio, but that's fine.
No.
Whatever.
Okay.
Look, that's fine. It's not. The show's not about me. It's not about you. You keep making this about everybody except the people you're running against.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm making it about the people. Every time I talk about the people,
like Brad Schneider and prostitution.
Excuse me. Every time I talk about the ineffective leaders we have that have prevented the Republicans from making any kind of successful steps forward, you interject with, you're not running against them. Here's the fact. Keith Brin is a liberal from Highland Park that should not be sitting in the chair. He's a pro-abortion.
You're pro-abortion. What's the difference?
Stop, Joe. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Right, but you tell me the difference on the abortion issue now.
One is going out there promoting it. The other is let people.
Right. You talk out of both sides of your mouth on the abortion issue, Joe.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you do.
I'll make it very.
Call somebody pro-abortion, and then 10 minutes ago you said you don't want to ban abortion.
Please don't whine. Let me just say this, please.
I'm not whining. I'm telling you.
Yes, you are. You sound like an absolute whiner. But and I have 5 children, so I have no time for that. So the reality is this. We have Keith Brin, who is a self-described independent non-gun owner that is sitting in the chair. He should be the most conservative Republican and then it might diminish from there down, number one. So he shouldn't even, it was orchestrated to put him in that chair, and it was orchestrated to put the chair in DuPage County in that chair. The state party has hijacked individuals like Kathy Salvi, Tom DeVore, and the rest of them, anybody with any kind of a following or influence. And what they're trying to do is use their influence to get their grassroots base so they can move their,
they can win elections,
liberal efforts forward.
They can win general elections.
Listen. So they get people that can't win, like a Jim Karras. Hey, Joe, you know yourself.
Well, you know what? I don't know who will win.
Let me say something.
Who will win. I know this. Jim Karras has 0 chance of winning if you run as an independent. Okay,
that's exactly right.
What percentage would it be if he?
So you're just in it to destroy the Republican Party that you claim to like.
I'm using it to change the party, and I'm willing to be the change agent for
the party by destroying the Republican nominee. Okay.
I'm not. Oh, so see, you're saying it. See, now look at you. Look at the movement. See, the reality is this. My forte is people. So the reality is this. And that's why I resonate so well with them. The reality is this. People are sick and tired of the politicals telling them what they need to do. Tom DeVore was dumb enough to go out there and actually say publicly, while I was fighting with him online, Joe, you will never be accepted by the establishment, which was a badge of honor, number one. But number two, he was even more stupid to say publicly that the 20% of people should be making the decisions as to who gets elected, the political know-it-alls in Illinois, rather than the people. He literally said that. And Richard Porter is the one carting this guy around. I'm the one that posted Richard Porter and all the pornography he supports. Dan Rogers. These guys are
That's a pretty serious charge.
Wait, first of all, don't tell somebody with a legal background that it's a serious charge. I posted it online. He blocked me after that. Him liking all the women with their boobs hanging out in their underwear. Their Chinese bots are Nigerians, and he's over there, behind his keyboard rather than helping good candidates get elected. Who are we having in our leadership position here?
Last question, guys, because I don't know who the hell's going to watch this. I'm not editing anything. I'm letting it all go.
Let it go. Like
Elsa.
Elsa.
Yeah. The Republican Party, man, the brand. When I think of the Republican brand, I see you two guys.
I see him.
I know it. It's what I'm saying.
Problem.
Right. So
it used to be people like me. Now it's people like you.
No, but
we won. They're losing.
Like me? Whoa, Pete, hang on. What do you mean people like me?
Okay, you're not pro-life, so I take that back. You said you're.
I don't know anything about the
don't do that.
issue,
you
but
don't do that. People like me.
I hear.
You still don't know where you stand on it, but okay, whatever.
I just hear a bunch of.
Yeah, no, I agree, Pete. You're right. I mean, we become a circle.
I'm truth telling. I'm truth dwelling.
Win these elections. Now we're losing. Why do you think that is, Joe? Why do you think we used to win these elections and the people that you hate were winning these elections, and now we're losing those elections?
Oh, wait, I don't hate anybody. First of all, let me say something. I don't hate them.
Criticize.
And don't cross your arms defensively. I'm not your enemy here. The reality is this. The reality is this. And maybe you could sit further from me, Joe. The reality is this. I don't hate anybody. I'm sorry that people are being hurt because of ineffective leadership. When I sat down with Mark Kirk, to be honest with you, I think Mark Kirk is a brilliant guy. I honestly do. I think he knows the district better than anybody. I think that his political prowess is probably among the best in Illinois. However, as a Republican, he's completely a failure. And the reason why is
a lot of times for a failure.
Listen, yeah, he won with a tremendous amount of support. Let me ask you this. Do you think with Republican support, I could have done better? I was out there running myself. I got no support. There was a whisper campaign, Joe, against me. You're a Politico. Do you know what a whisper campaign is?
People are talking about you? Yeah.
When people whisper, don't help him because he didn't help us. I'm not there to help the Politicos.
Right. He won by my count, Joe. He won.
Here you go, armchairing. It doesn't matter.
Armchairing. He won 5 elections as congressman here, and then he won U.S. Senate in 2010.
And then he lost to Tammy Duckworth, who was a horrible candidate.
Well, I'm not going to defend Tammy Duckworth.
And after I lambasted him,
Joe, even when he lost, he still won here. First of all, he shouldn't have run again because of his stroke, and it was also a bad year for the Republican Party because of Donald Trump.
Oh, everything's Donald Trump. How'd you like the safety when Donald Trump was in office? How'd you like your taxes?
I liked a lot of things
your 401 when Donald Trump was in
Okay.
office?
I've said this before. I'll say this again. I like a lot of the things that Donald Trump did. I don't like his personality. He's my least favorite Republican. But if he's a Republican nominee,
you know why you don't like his personality? Because you like to say things.
Because he cost us elections here. We used to win elections till he came along.
No, we won elections until people like you were involved in the election
on the North Shore, Joe. The Trump shtick, which you're trying to be a cheap Trump imitator.
No, absolutely not. Oh, cheap
doesn't work.
Oh, I'm cheap. You won't tell us how much you gave.
You ain't doing what Donald Trump's doing.
You won't tell us how much you gave to charity. I'd call you cheap.
Okay. What is the Republican brand? What happened to it?
Let me say this, Pete, please.
I think he has a different opinion.
Republican brand is him. He represents the Republican brand.
Okay, specifically though, what is it?
I'm a man without a party now.
Let me say this. Did Dan Proft was on your show recently, correct?
Yeah, I expect.
And I know Dan personally.
I've known him longer than you, I bet, but that's okay.
Did Dan say to you that the lacks equity or there's no Republican Party in Illinois?
Yeah, he did, and he's right. Now, this is where I disagree with him, and I think with you. I think, look, and Dan worked for Darren Bailey, and I've made that clear. I disagreed with him on that, but I like Dan. I've known him since the 90s. We used to work together many years ago in back when we were Republican.
Give me the point, please.
Well, here's my point, Joe. All right. My point is that the party, I think what's happened to the Republican brand, and you're going to disagree with me, is we have moved too far to the right, whether it's Trump's personality or whether it's issues like abortion and other social issues. I think we've moved too far to the right, and it may have helped the party in rural areas gain some seats, but we've lost a lot more in suburban areas like Lake Forest. Okay. And all I have to do is look at the election returns to see that moderate Republicans do socially moderate, fiscally conservative Republicans do better in areas like Lake Forest than socially conservative Republicans. And I point again to the 2020 income tax hike.
Can you bring me to somebody in Lake Forest that is a racist? Can you bring me to their door?
That's a dumb question.
No, it's not. It's a brilliant question.
I'm sure there's at least one racist in Lake Forest, unfortunately.
Do you know of them? How have you seen racism in Lake Forest?
I haven't personally, but maybe other
so
people.
What social issue are you arguing?
Abortion, LGBTQ issues.
What about okay, so how are they being harmed? Show me where somebody...
Joe, it's not whether they're being harmed or not. I think they're losing issues for the GOP, period. Right or wrong? I think they're losing issues for the GOP.
Just like you said, it was brilliant of Brad not debating me. It would be brilliant to the
Republicans. But you said it was brilliant of Trump, by the way.
Excuse me. It would be brilliant of the GOP not to entertain those conversations because they're moot issues. We're here to support everybody, and that's the bottom line.
Our nominees. I've always supported our nominees, and I always will.
And what about Republicans? Do you believe that Republicans shouldn't speak ill? Do you believe Republicans shouldn't speak ill of other Republicans?
Once the primary's over, I honor the 11th commandment and support our ticket.
So what about
Bob Gold? It's the swing voter, and those candidates don't appeal to the swing voter.
What about Bob Dole making a pact with Brad Schneider to denounce and stand against Donald Trump? He was a nominee.
Donald Trump didn't play too well in this district. So, Joe, if that's what it took to keep a Republican congressman in instead of Brad Schneider, who would have voted against the tax hikes that Brad Schneider voted for, and would have.
What has Bob Dole ever done in his life? He's running a company. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, do what you do.
Bob Dole, you want Bob Dole to be a leader. The guy ran a company that his father started. So he's running a company. He was pushed into being a congressman and supported. He inherited everything by Mark Kirk. So the guy, another puppet they put into office. And then everybody that was involved in the Rauner, Kirk, Dole is clamoring around Mary Cole and Jim Karras. And the
public want to win
with this.
Joe, it's nothing personal against any other conservative.
It made it personal. It made it personal when the GOP, when I was making leaps and bounds out there with people, and go to my social media, go find out if I'm supported by the public or not. The reality is this: when I was making and resonating so well with everyone, and then you have Keith Brin telling people not to support my events, when you have these individuals telling people that, have you heard any of that?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But here's my point. And like I said at the very beginning of this show, I voted for you in 2022 when you were the Republican nominee. And I didn't disparage you when you were the nominee. Okay. But that said,
you're part of the establishment.
You sound like a broken record, but it's not my vote.
Did you reach out to me? You're political.
Can you tell me?
Lake Forest. You never contacted me.
Can you tell me? I didn't. Okay, listen.
Did you say, hey, Joe, I've been in politics for 30 years. I'd like to shake your hand or see what kind of a guy you are. Look at the smirk. You're turning red again, Joe. Now we have
Joe, answer this question for me because we're just going to go back and forth. But here's a question I've not asked you, and I'd like to hear an answer. Okay. Name a social
6-3-2-10.
Name a social conservative that has won a general election here in the North Shore.
Name
one. I'll wait.
So ever since Mark Kirk took a liberal position, what happens is, and these people, they get radicalized. When you talk about where grooming started.
Answer my question.
Excuse me. Let me say this, please. Mark Kirk, Bob Dole, Richard Porter, these are the kings of grooming. This is where the predication of grooming occurred. So what they do is, they take Mark Kirk and they'll take a figure like that. He becomes weak and radicalized in Washington. He comes back And then what they do is he helps to diminish the conservatism or republicanism of the next.
Can you name a tax increase that Mark? Can you name a tax increase that Mark?
Let me say something. Let me finish, please. Yeah. So the reality is, what they've done is they take individuals that are of weak minds, brilliant or not, that can be influenced, and then they start to soften their conservatism or republicanism, and then they send them out there to kind of pollute the constituency of conservatism. That's what Mark Kirk did. So if you look, you could literally track it back to almost the date and hour. As soon as he got in office, it was all leftism that's moved into our district since then. And Bob Dole, coming out against Donald Trump and the rest of them, Bob Dole should keep his mouth shut. Bob Dole should have no voice in our district. He doesn't even live here. The reality is, and he didn't live there then. Where was your sandbag campaign against him? Because he didn't live in the district when he ran. But you want him because the liberal uniparty in Illinois wants these individuals that are going to soften the blow of conservatism.
Who can win?
I am a conservative with liberal leanings in the fact that no one should be telling people what to do, whether they're LGBTQ or whatever it is. Where I vary is when it comes to children. We haven't talked about education and our failing education. We haven't talked about puberty blockers. How do you feel about all that? You brought up LGBTQ. Well, how do you feel about this this environment where they're trying to, dismember children, etc.?
Can you repeat that again? Your mic cut out on me. So
how do you feel about the way they're trying to dismember these children, put them on puberty blockers and all of this?
I don't know enough about that issue, but let me say this.
Do you think it's right or wrong, Joe?
Joe?
Do you think it's right or wrong?
If
you support Jim Harris and Mary Cole, do you think it's right or wrong?
I'm not speaking for anybody but me.
Okay, do you think it's wrong to change the sex of a child?
Joe, anytime.
Oh, now you're showing the world who you are, Joe. Because the answer is no,
I don't know enough about the issue, Joe. First of
all, come on,
Joe.
You need to know what it feels like to be kicked between the legs to know if you want to be kicked or not. Give me a break,
Joe. All this does. Joe,
when you have conversations, you think you're exposed.
Joe, this is why you can't win an election.
No. You think you're exposing me, you're exposing yourself.
They care about taxes.
Weiss, if Severino drops out, okay,
not happening.
I'm just saying hypothetical, because it's like,
okay,
you both are off the tracks, okay.
How
much will Schneider win by?
He's going to win he's going to win no matter what, because
that's what I'm saying.
Politico didn't even mention Karras. They said Joe Severino's running as an independent. Oh yeah, and Karras is also running. He's the also. It's about, I kept my base. The people still believe in what I'm doing. So what I'm going to have those votes. And then we're going to get new votes as an independent voice. There's not been an authentic independent candidate in the 10th district that's had any name recognition.
Can you name an independent candidate that's won here in Illinois?
When I looked, I did search the
list is the name of the number of social conservatives that have won on the North Shore.
So are you setting yeah, but here's the problem. Sure. That's a cowardly perspective.
But you may be right. You may be. I don't look like I have friends who are.
So does that mean you don't try? We have to try.
Look, like I said, I've always supported our Republican nominees, Joe. But the question:
if Casey was running as a Republican, would you support him?
Are we going to dump millions of dollars and waste precious hours of our time on a candidate that has zero chance of winning?
Who are you to say that? It's not you to say that. It's.
Well, I guess my point is, what percentage
voters keep saying that they don't want social conservatives?
No, here's the problem. You want them. That's why they don't win. The public doesn't want them. If you started to do what the public wanted, you wouldn't have a 30% turnout.
So do you have some piece of data that shows the public in the district wants abortion banned or social conservative issues?
It's not about what you want. It's about what the public wants.
Right, and the public wants.
And the other individuals, listen, you and the others that'll do anything just because there's an R in front of their name to get them elected. are the problem. There's 30% voter turnout.
No. That's a myth, because I would support a Democrat who was more fiscally conservative than a Republican opponent, but I can't name one that ever was. Can you name it? I cannot name a Democrat, with the possible exception of John F. Kennedy in 1960 against Nixon, where I wasn't even born yet. I cannot name a Democrat who would have been better on the number one issue for voters.
Isn't it funny that as I hear you speak, it's all about money?
Taxes. The Democrats are never better on taxes, Joe, so I'm never going to support them on that.
You know what I think is bad?
Only a single issue voter, but that's true.
Listen, you sit here and disparage me about not paying taxes, but your biggest issue is taxes.
Taxes. Yeah, but
number two, everything to you is about money. Why is everything to you about money, Joe?
I'm a capitalist. Guilty as charged.
I'm a capitalist too, but I'm a capitalist that gives as I go. See, if you were more of a giver as you go, you could resonate better with me than the political establishment. That's the problem here. We have too many politicos that want to take as they go along.
I want to elect more fiscally conservative people, because I've seen the difference. So
you want to push a liberal agenda?
Let's look. Lake County Democrats just doubled our property taxes. That never happened when Republicans controlled this county. Never. So if that means nominating more fiscally conservative but socially moderate Republicans to roll back those property tax hikes, count me in.
The only way that Severino's got a chance, or Karras, or anybody else besides Schneider, is if all the Republicans take their money and get those buses to drop them off, the migrants,
and they vote for
us, and just flood it. You'll see a bunch of people caring.
We have to disincentivize the giving to the Republican Party. That's how an independent.
That's how we elect more Democrats.
That's how the independent gets a chance.
All right,
Reinhardt, thanks you for your de facto support.
Hey, let me tell you something. I'd rather have a radical.
When we read about somebody next year being let out of jail who could have been put back in jail if Mary Cole had been the state's attorney instead of Eric Reinhardt.
The minute, let me say this here. You want to know what turned me off about Mary Cole? I was invited to go to her. I was invited to go to her her announcement in Waukegan or wherever the heck it was. And let me ask you a question. Her law office is Brady Cole.
Not Pat Brady. That was it's a guy named Pat Brady, but it's not the Pat Brady that was a former.
So there's no relation.
Brady is like a very common Irish name. So
Mark Kirk is related to Brady's.
Pat Brady? No.
Mark Kirk is related to Brady. His name online is.
I don't think that's the case.
Stephen Brady.
That's a fake name that he's using, which I don't know why. But
and let me ask you this here with Mark Kirk. So I went to the Fremont Township.
This is why you have no credibility when you bring up stupid.
I have all the credibility, my friend. You're the one sweating, not me. So I went to the Fremont Township and did a little talk. And when I did that, that was received very well. When I did that, they...
I'm at 12 o'clock out here, by the way, guys. I have a meeting at 12.
Hard stop. Where are you, by the way?
Hard stop at 12. What?
Where are you? I'll continue with Pete if he will entertain you.
I'll
talk about you as soon as you leave.
I don't think anybody's going to watch a 2-hour podcast. So why don't we wrap this up, Pete?
So the reality is this. I went there. Immediately after that, I put up, hey, great to be hosted by the Fremont Township. Mark Kirk put like the mad face that I was there. And then so did Schneider. So they're both working together. Schneider has adopted Mark in this program where they're bringing what are supposed to be elderly Hispanics from either Latin America or Mexico to come here in the last stages of life if they're alone. But what they're doing is they're bringing Chinese in. I mean, it's just here.
But I don't agree with everything Mark Kirk did in his time in office or Bob.
So why didn't you give me a fair shake here and have a reasonable...
But here's my point.
Instead of all the microaggressions.
And the issues that matter to me, and I think matter to the swing voters in an area like this, I agree with them lock, stock, and barrel.
Do you agree with Dan Rogers calling me a retard?
Now, if he did that, that's a stupid thing and he should apologize.
In
Okay.
the public eye, in the
The
public. Mary
distraction. That's a
Cole,
distraction.
and Mary Cole is running around joined at the hip with him. Do you think that's proper?
Because Mary Cole is trying to get to beat Eric Reinhardt, and that's more important.
Oh, so she's already sacrificing.
No.
She'll sacrifice
Yeah,
value.
people are going to die in Lake County if Eric Reinhardt's reelected.
Careful.
People are going to die in Lake County if Eric Reinhardt's reelected.
Oh.
He's going to let dangerous criminals out on the street. And if you don't think so, I can't help you anymore. So look, I would love to stay and chat, but I have a meeting in 1 minute, so I gotta go.
Joe Weiss, Joe Severino.
Good luck, God
Joe
bless.
Severino, what's your website?
Hey, I appreciate it. SeverinoForCongress.com, Severino, F-O-R, Congress.com. I promise to keep bringing the truth to the American people, whether it's the district or the nation, and I would tremendously appreciate your support. Pete, thank you for having me on. Joe, great to talk.
All right. Joe Severino. Wow. That's
Thank you.
interesting. I might have to put that out early so people have enough time to watch it by the weekend. All right,
you.
brother.
There's
Right
gonna be
as
more
the
to
throw.
come. There's going to be more to come.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, DOHENY.com, to learn more. Broker Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services, plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, and Herrick.